Welcome to Raj Shamani Clips. Here we are understanding the top leaders and best minds of today to help you become the better leader tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching this.
All right, I want to pick up on something because I think your career started because of movies. I mean, sort of.
Yeah.
Serials.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's what it started, right? Because you saw a fiction on a television.
Yeah.
Right. And that's how I think in modern times most of the people start thinking about history or get fascinated by history because we see some of the other movie and then we like, wow, we want to get more into it. We want to understand more, right?
Yeah.
I got interested in mythology, in movies and all of this just because I saw a movie.
Which one?
I saw like everything. I started with Legends of Hanuman to enter like I got super fascinated by everything, what they were showing and how the whole animation worked, right? And then I recently saw a series called Taj that actually led me to think more about and read more about what Mughals did, right? Then there was one Sardar Udham that was again something which took me to okay, मेरे को और जानना है और करना है.
Right.
So I think these movies play a like huge role in sparking that curiosity in you and making sure that you're studying about a lot of these things, right?
Correct.
So what's your take on certain movies is which I want to ask. Okay, there are like certain movies in India which have had crazy adaptations. So one of them is Bajirao Mastani. What do you think about?
You're going to get me in trouble. If I ever want any of my books to get adapted by those filmmakers, it'll depend on my answers here.
No, of course, you'll get the right person to, make a movie on one of your books. So
No, I mean, you see, I think overall Bollywood, the way they look at history is, and it's no value judgment. It's just that they look at historical characters also largely by yardsticks of today. Unnecessarily, there has to be a romance angle fitted into it. There has to be some song and dance sequence which is unrelated. So many things like even Bajirao, I think though it was cinematically very beautifully done, and Mr. Bansali, of course, is a master, storyteller and filmmaker. But the takeaway for the audience is like Bajirao was all but a romantic hero, and he was pining for her Mastani's love. And people, of course, the flip side is a lot of people went to Pune and Shaniwar Wada and saw the palace there and so on, which nobody would go to. So some curiosity was generated, but Bajirao was much more than that. He was one of the greatest of the Peshwas before of course the Panipat War. After that you had Madhav Rao, but Bajirao the first was someone who established the Peshwa, the Maratha Empire. If after Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj there was someone, it was him. So for someone like that who had how he needs to be remembered is not as a lovesick Romeo, but as a great warrior. So that becomes an unintended consequence that everyone is concentrating only on the Mastani angle of his life, which even chroniclers of that time have not really gone so much into the depth of the personal lives and so on. So that is an unintended and sad consequence when the movie masala is added into, I think, while it makes the characters accessible and maybe human, the problem is this, that what remains in people's memory is probably just as in the case of that serial. If someone who's seen that Sanjay Khan episode, if you ever say Vodayar, they'll remember that fat king who is dancing with a court dancer, almost emasculated, that sort of a thing. So it's a very potent medium to create lasting impressions in people's minds about characters. So I think the responsibility of the filmmaker, the script writers and all that is all the more, intense as to how they portray these people. And that is why most historical movies end up with controversy, whether it was Padmavat, whether it was Jodha Akbar, even Bajirao also I think had some. So because people are sensitive about how their heroes and heroines are portrayed. So that I think they need to take extra care and caution to see that the facts are adhered to, or however they show is to the maximum extent backed by facts, because you are perpetuating that person's legacy and image in the minds of people, particularly the youth of the country.
There are few movies who were well received by the audience and they showed like the bravery, the wars and everything of that sort. I don't know how true or false that is, because my understanding is only limited to the movies, because that's how we get to understand history in today's world. One of them was Tanaji.
Yeah.
Do you think that movie, what they showed, was the real side?
I've unfortunately not seen the movie, so I wouldn't know. But I heard it was comparatively a much better
Adaptation.
Adherence to the original, facts of history. It's a very tight, difficult game. And I think that is one reason why filmmakers also shy away from period films. One is, of course, they're so costly to make, to recreate that era, the sets and all of that. But along with that, they know that, unless you get this element right, it can lead to a lot of backlash.
True.
So though Indian history is so full of so much of drama, so much of intrigue, romance, battles, conspiracies, they don't form part of, filmatic adaptations in India. At least in recent times. In regional cinema, it's much better, whether it is, South Indian cinema in Kannada or Telugu and Tamil and all that. Many of these heroes and others have been portrayed, and those have somehow managed to stick to the original essence essence of the person, and they haven't led to so much of, backlash and controversy as probably Hindi cinema does.
Do you remember any Hindi movie or any movie for that matter in India which you felt like, okay, this is one of the good adaptations
Of a historical?
Of a historical movie? Any movie which you liked?
To be honest, no.
So movies play an important role, and you feel in movies they should be showing a holistic version of the essence or the protagonist, instead of just one side of the protagonist, which shapes.
No, I think a lot more care needs to be taken into the research element when it comes to a historical figure. Not, look at multiple sources, get a proper historian on board as a period consultant or an expert, and actually ensure that all the, elements are well laid out and the character of the protagonist comes through. Of course, I understand, it's a different medium. So cinematic adaptation, there is some creative liberties that one need to take, but it needs to be within the boundaries of acceptability by and large. Very tough to define it. It's a very intangible commodity, but still it needs to be to the maximum extent well researched, backed with evidence. Then people will not if maybe one movie which you say not made in India, but the Gandhi film which Attenborough had made. I mean, all through there was, of course, there was a little bit of dramatization and so on, but still it didn't deviate so much from the main theme of, Gandhi's life. And we all got an essence, and I think the world got an understanding of what Gandhi was. I think he became a global brand more because of that film, right? And when it went on to win Oscars and all the awards it won, it created a different essence. And it's so unfortunate that we needed a foreigner to make a film on the father of the nation of India. And all the Indian movies on Gandhi have not done so well, right? So many people have made films on him, right? From Shyam Benegal to others. But those have not created that kind of impact. Or we can't even remember the names of some of those as much as Attenborough's Gandhi and Ben Kingsley. So world over, everyone thinks Gandhi was this handsome, charming man like Ben Kingsley was. so
interesting. But I feel, though in movies they only show one side, or maybe they focus on, and they don't care too much about the character or whatever for that reason. I think it's important, because if it was not for movies, I would have never been interested in history at all, because schools made it so bad. I remember.
You also got punished?
I was relating to your situation so much, because I used to get scale here, on the knuckles.
Wow.
See, then there was my history teacher. Okay, I forgot her name, but I can still see her in my eyes. She's there. She used to take the pen in middle of fingers, and then she used to do this. Because I would not remember कि 1947 में क्या हुआ, या 1965 में क्या हुआ, या 1826 में क्या हुआ, just random dates. Because it was just that too much. They never painted a beautiful picture the way the movies show or the storytellers show or the likes of what you're doing right now.
So is the trauma playing out when you're talking to a historian today? Childhood trauma?
Not yet.
Not yet.
I remember.